telly. Been ripped away, and the Blues win it!
Susie got with him. He's got Hotham! Tries to offload, so the try is scored by Dallas McLeod. Wakatava sees a gap and off he goes. Fires the pass away. The Highlanders have scored a famous victory. They've broken their duck.
Boys are really willing to do what they need to do to get the outcome. Just apologise to everyone.
Koutou katoa, good evening and welcome to The Breakdown. Yes, you're seeing it right. Happy Mother's Day to all of you mums out there, especially mine, Cheryl. I couldn't stay away. I missed you two pointing and arguing at each other, so I thought, well, why not come back when you've got your colours on?
You said in the green room you forgot it was Mother's Day.
I did.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you.
Yeah, I did forget it was Mother's Day.
Welcome back.
Oh, it's good to be back, as I said. I missed you too, Millsy.
I didn't miss these guys. You haven't missed anything.
So you've been away as well.
I have been away.
What's your excuse?
Happy Mother's Day to you, Kirsty. Good to see you back.
Thank you. Well, we've got a little something because you remember the last time I was on the show, we probably didn't know it was going to be my last show, and you all surprised me and made me emotional. So this time around, it's my turn to do it to you, JK, because you've got a little surprise on the way. And when I say surprise, a grandchild for the first time.
Yeah.
So this is from our team. And it's
That is so cool.
Lucky the Blues won on the weekend, otherwise this would have been awkward and we might have had to change teams,
That is
JK.
so cool. I am calling the baby Little John. It's not here yet, but I don't think it's going to make the cut, but I'm just going to call it Little John anyway. That's beautiful, thank you.
For your beautiful...
Francesca will be stoked, yeah.
Yes.
It's actually due on Tuesday, so... I said to my daughter, I'm not really ready to be a granddad. She said, well, it's not about you, is it, JK? That's probably a fair point.
You've been looking ready for a while to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Kirst. That's lovely.
Well, it's from all of us. It's from all of us here. So not my doing, but we cannot wait. We're so excited for you and for Francesca as well. It's such an exciting time. Now that I've experienced it all. But I won't get emotional on the program anymore. Entertainment aplenty over the weekend. There were so many tries across two derbies and there were 46,000 fans between Dunedin and Eden Park. You two were there. I mean, it was amazing to watch on TV. How was it being there?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it was fitting, right? Your cultural round, you're reminiscing about the good old days and the crowds come in. Perfect conditions, when you got up, it was almost like you're back as a rugby player. You open up the curtains and it's a beautiful day and you know it's a huge game as well, but just to see the crowds. And then you go home and you listen to yourself, Goldie, down there, and you see the crowd in Dunedin. Man, how good of a weekend was that, JK?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Mills actually brought your kids as well, your boys as well. That was really great. They're running around. It just felt as it should be. I was a little bit worried late, though, because there wasn't a lot of people in there and there was 25 expected, and all of a sudden, boom, everything filled up and there was all this energy and the game lived up to it. It was a little bit scrappy at times, and not scrappy because it was bad rugby, scrappy because it was physical. Yes. It was seesaw, the Blues scored, Hurricanes come back and score was right to the end, so it was really fantastic.
Dunedin was special, to be honest with you. The fact that, we know the Crusaders have been struggling. The Highlanders are trying to fight their way into the playoffs, but it had a feeling of that old rivalry. 20, close to maybe 17, 18, close to 19,000 were on hand. But more importantly, I've just got a sense that Super Rugby's, it's getting to that point now where it's finding itself. And it's almost not just back, but I think has got a huge opportunity now to grow, and it's just where that comes from. And if you start looking at what the in-stadium experience is like, and I think a lot of teams, particularly here in New Zealand, are trying really hard. You think about what was down in Dunedin, where they had two DJs. They had, when you talk about culture...
Did you know the DJs?
Shapeshifter was one of them.
Yeah, good. Okay. Nice.
But that's not the point. The point was the fact there was catering for everybody. The fact the big screen had footage of, it had the old Highlanders song as well as the new generation. I think the crowd embraced that. We had the KFC Catch the Colonel at half-time. It was constant. It was the energy, the lights around the stadium. So now's the time, right?
But it's also a better product. It's a better product because I think the referees have taken responsibility. They're trying really hard to speed the game up, and it's working. It's a way better product because a couple of little things they've really knuckled down on, and the players are buying into it, and it's just a better spectacle.
I agree that the product is good, but to your point, exactly that. It's almost like the franchises have realised this is entertainment. It's not just what comes on when the whistle blows and the entertainment on the field in terms of the game. You've got to package it up so that people come. You know, people come and entertain prior to the game, after the game, and what does that look like? You know, for young generations and for old buggers like us, right?
And the reason I say it is now's the time, if you're New Zealand Rugby, to invest in this competition. If you want the best All Black side, you need to have the best and premier club competition in the world. It's time to invest in that and bring the best players here, because what we're getting in quality of rugby, what we're now starting to see in terms of the entertainment factor.
What do you mean by best players here?
Well, you keep them at home. You know, some of those guys that head offshore, but also maybe getting some of the international players.
But the New Zealand Rugby's not going to invest.
No, well, they have to, because if you want the best out of your players going into the All Blacks, you need this competition to be as strong as it could possibly be. It's not that right now, because we've had too many quality players leave. There are too many still heading offshore. There are more going to leave. It's time to invest in it, and that's not just New Zealand Rugby. That's everybody understanding the ecosystem of the game.
Do you want to rip in here?
No, I just think we need to, I mean, I keep saying it, we just need to carve a piece out for the franchises. Yeah. So the rights, the television rights, my investment that NZR needs to do is go, right, let's create another competition, let's do it all year. NPC drops under, but the franchises get the money. So it's an extra TV revenue, and then New Zealand Rugby shouldn't worry about them, because if you want to create, like we've seen this year with the jersey change, with sponsor change, other people coming in, those people bring in different energy and different wants, and that's what changes the game. The trouble is with having New Zealand over the top is they want it homogenised to a certain extent, and I just don't think that works. So I think if we can carve a bit out so that the franchises can make 5 or 6 million each out of then they'll be able to say, well, okay, actually I'm going to keep Bowden at home, or I'm going to spend a little bit of that money trying to keep Richie Mo'unga at home, you know, and I think that's the only way we're going to do it. If you want NZR to invest in it, they're too busy looking after
what other competition in the world allows their kids and fans on the field? What other competition?
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, how good is that? You think about that. You think about allowing the fans to get up close and personal. Look at this. This is it. You know, after games. No other competition in the world. I don't see it in the NBA. I don't see it in football. I mean, look at this. We're creating something special. Does create some challenges from time to time, but we're creating something special, right? And the franchises are getting on board. The referees are getting on board. The players are getting on board. Everyone's on board right now. We need the people in charge to be on board and invest into it.
Well, you're talking about a lot of best. You're talking about the best players, the best competition. Let's talk about the best team right now. I never thought I'd say it after a month away, but JK, right now the best team is the Blues. They are the team to beat in Super Rugby. But just tell me, were you still breathing in the final 2 minutes when you were on the sideline waiting for a result?
No, because it should have been like that. A top of the table clash should be like that. It should go down to the wire. I think that the most impressive thing about the Blues this year has been their steel and their defence. You know, they didn't win the last 7 minutes. They were under the pump. They defended. And it's been like that all season. We've been waiting for them to put both together, the defence and the attack. It's often hard, isn't it, Mills? Because defence is a mindset, and sometimes when you've got that massive mindset, then it's hard sometimes to switch to attack. But I just think their defence, you know, this last piece here, where Lewarere just got a little bit too high, offered Tuanganafasi, smashed him, and that's the difference. Like, too high in contact is the difference between winning and losing, and that means that the top two teams are playing. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. I think the Hurricanes will go away, they'll be fine, and you're going to have to produce that again in the playoffs, but it does look good for a home semi. Yeah,
that really good. And this is a different Blues outfit because they turned down points, right? They went to the line. You know, they came back, they still turned them down. And the Blues have probably, yesteryear, would have actually made a mistake, turned it over, and you've lost momentum. Hurricanes come up, but they were nice and patient, almost clinical, I'd say. And then, you know, in scoring points, there's almost a belief in what they're actually doing, that they can actually do that. There's a real steal, like you say. But the Hurricanes on the other side of it too. And this is the amazing part. I mean, the Hurricanes bit back. They probably didn't play as well as perhaps they were able to, but it was a fantastic game. But the sense that I got after the game and sort of going around the players is there is still a long way to go in this competition. No one's getting carried away. The Blues aren't getting carried away. Maybe we might be as fans. Hurricanes certainly aren't, because, man, this competition is starting to heat up.
Punch and counterpunch. You mentioned it before the show. Punch and counterpunch. These two teams went back at each other. One team scored, the other team scored. They responded to pressure. They put themselves in position to win the game. I want to talk about one player in particular, though, because I think this sums up exactly where the Blues are and what they've managed to believe and built inside their organisation. It's Harry Plummer. Because I watch him play, because when they lost Stephen Petafeta and when Zahn Sullivan goes down, two of your pivotal decision makers, your kickers, you needed someone to step up. Your goal kickers, your options. It was how well could Harry Plummer run the ship while those guys were away. And now I think he's in the conversation, does he run the ship right through to the rest of the season? Because what he's done has been outstanding. They look in complete control when he's there at 10, and that's something for a long, long time they haven't had, I don't think, in terms of consistency. They've mucked around with who's at 10, who's at 15. Zahn Sullivan is now, unfortunately, tragically picked up another injury. So what do they do when Stephen Petafeta returns?
So you think that Harry Plummer is going to keep Stephen Petafeta, a potential
they need a
All
fullback.
Black?
They need a fullback, though. They need someone to play fullback. Who's going to step in now that Sullivan's out? You know, does that mean is it Forbes who's going to be back there? You know,
does Petafeta not need to play at 10 for the All Blacks? For his chances in the All Blacks?
This isn't about the All Blacks. I'm not. I mean, Stephen Petafeta started the season beautifully, picked up an injury, but ultimately it's about the Blues.
The thing I like about Harry Plummer is I think he's become that consummate professional. You know, a few years ago, he might have missed a couple of those kicks. He's worked very hard on his kicking game. He's worked very hard on his management of the game. I mean, you talk to all the boys, he's one of their best pros, works really hard on his game, intelligent young boy. So he's playing, I reckon, the type of game that the Blues need. Calm, run the game. Does Stephen Petafeta come back and play fullback? I think he comes back onto the bench this week, and I think they'll play him a little bit of both.
Millsy?
Yeah, no doubt in my mind that was Harry Plummer's best Super Rugby game. And the defining moment was when Zahn Sullivan went down, because he had comfort and Zahn sort of almost took over that left foot kick. He became the sort of the exit guy. And then when he went off, you almost sort of thought, okay, well, how is Harry Plummer going to sort of react to this? His kicks, you know, they're usually, sometimes when you go under pressure, it sort of doesn't quite connect with him. All of them did. He almost sort of said, look, this is a big moment. I'm going to take this by the scruff of the neck. And he did. He ran the cutter. In my mind, I think Petafeta comes back in as year 10. The great thing about Harry is the fact he's played 12 also this year.
And he was there 12.
And he is there 12, right? And so I think that experience of him running the cutter there will only just aid in terms of when Petafeta sort of comes back. Okay, he might come off the bench just to sort of ease him back in there. But I think, you know, going forward, and you've got to remember, you know, you know, whilst he's really solid, you know, he has been under a bit of injury clouds as well. So I think once Petafeta's fit and healthy, you'd probably see Harry sort of slot in at 12 and have Petafeta at 10.
There's been a lot of chat about the number 8s in this country this year. Can we talk about Hoskins Sotutu? Because I know that there were some cheeky wagers going on behind the scenes, JK. You'll be happy because you've won yourself a bottle of red wine.
He's talking about him every week.
He is talking about him every week, but it's deserved now, isn't it, JK? What can you say?
So there was some banter going on that, you know, Hoskins against the bigger sides, against the sides, you know, he won't be as dominant. And I thought he really silenced those critics. He's been silencing the critics or not. He got an incredibly important turnover. In the second half, I thought he really blossomed with his attacking game. At one stage, he kicked a really smart tactical kick late in the game. So Hoskins has re-signed with NZR. You know, he missed out on the World Cup. That hurts. Ma'anonu missed out on the World Cup. You've got two choices. You get peed off and you leave, or you stay and you prove that you are going to do what it takes to get better. And I think Hoskins has done everything in his power to get himself back into this conversation.
Oh, he's 100% got to be in the conversation. The next question, though, is he better than the World Rugby Player of the Year? Who's not playing in New Zealand right now?
Yeah, but we're not just going to pick one number 8.
No, we're not. But we've got England coming up, right? That's what we start talking about. And the Blues have got a really tough run home. So we're going to find out more and more every single week about Hoskins Sotutu.
Highlanders, Crusaders, Chiefs.
That's a tough finish. That's a really tough finish, you know. And so we're going to find out more and more. But I don't think he can do anything more than he's done up until this point. You know, he can't, and that's all you can ask of a player, right?
I like the balance in his game. It obviously proves that something in that environment has sort of got him going, because easily he could have gone out there and said, I'm going to focus on the outside channel. He was everywhere, and his skill set and his he almost looked really happy that this was a game that suited him. I like the way he's playing.
Against England, who do you want coming on late? I always said that I loved when Damien was coming on late for us as the All Blacks because the defence is tired. Let's say Artie starts, but who do you want coming on late? Do you want someone like Hoskins who can really break a game open when people are tired? I'd rather have someone like that coming on with that sort of skill set that can really break a game open. So for me, you know, he has definitely got to be in the mix because he brings you that X factor. You know, we haven't had that X factor. We've got it in Artie, but who else do we have it? Who else do we have it? Like, you know, that X factor I'm talking about. Someone can kick the ball, someone can offload behind the tackle. You know, there's a lot of great loose forwards, but I don't think they've got a skill set. And what Hoskins has started doing is getting off the deck, making his tackles.
I think his skill set might throw a spanner in the works in terms of the makeup of the All Blacks, in terms of the loose trio.
What do you mean by that?
Well, whether he starts at 8 and have Artie move around, where Sam Cane sort of fits. I think his skill set and what you're saying is a little bit different, and it might just throw the All Black coaches into saying, well, hang on, let's give this guy a shot.
I do know we have to move on, but I think we have to give credit to Hurricanes. Because we're talking a lot about the Blues here.
Yeah,
we're talking about one play away from us having a completely different conversation about another team.
No, the guy was good too, man. He was really good.
I think across the board, and they lost a couple of key pieces to their puzzle going in, and Lomax and Proctor. So, you know, I think I'm not pumping the brakes on the Blues, but also I've got full respect for what the Hurricanes still brought to the contest.
I agree.
And this could be 1 and 2, which means they get home field advantage. It could very well be the final in about 6 or 7 weeks' time as well. But yes, we do need to talk about your Highlanders because they're not just on the board.
Show us what you're doing before. Come on, mate.
Come on. Here they are. They're on a streak. 3 in a row. 3 in a row. 3 in a row.
Show us the flexing from
There's no flexing. There's nothing to flex anymore. I wouldn't know what a jib looks like. No, look, ultimately, this was massive for the Highlanders. You know, I think everyone expected the Crusaders to go into Dunedin, and as desperate as they were to put on a special result, well, in the end, they got the perfect start, the Highlanders, on the back of an amazing Falcon, but I think ultimately the Crusaders ran out of puff. They ran out of ideas in the second half. The Highlanders got ahead of them, and then they were able to predictably almost hold on. When you're at the game, you got the sense that the Crusaders sort of had nothing that could break them down, and they're a team that threw everything at the Highlanders and weren't quite good enough on the night. So this is huge for the Highlanders. The Crusaders, we saw those shots of Rob Penny, obviously devastated, you know, that he's not getting the results out of his group. And that score's a bit flattering, to be honest. They score a try at the end of the game.
That was a weird try.
A bizarre try.
That was a bizarre try.
Yeah,
Release
and then fall over the line.
Yeah.
Crazy. But, I mean, this was huge for the Highlanders. Gives them an element of security, you know, and look, if you make the playoffs...
Can the Crusaders make the top 8?
Yeah.
Mathematically, it's still alive.
No, tell me, can they make the top 8?
Well, no, I don't think they will now. I find it hard.
Mills?
They've still got the Blues to play.
They've got to win all 3,
They've got the Brumbies away.
They've got to win all
3. It's possible, but...
Do they make the 8 for you, Mills?
I still think they can.
They can make it.
I think they can.
But
and the reason why...
Will they
make
it?
I think they do. I think they make it. And I think because, like, leading into after the next round, the teams in the top 5, you know, 5-ish, who know they've got a place, they'll start resting players.
Blues Crusaders quarterfinal. Look out, JK, look out.
There's a lot of...
I don't think they make it. I don't think they make it because they've got to beat the Blues and the Brumbies. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And the only thing is they're competing really with the Drua now, are they? So the Drua are playing at home this week?
Yep, the Reds at home.
The Reds at home.
Then they play the Highlanders
45
away.
degrees, Mills. You're kidding yourself, mate. They're not going to make it.
Nah.
What about the impact that Cody Taylor had, though? He hasn't played rugby since the Rugby World Cup final over 6 months ago. This guy played 65 minutes.
No, there's your All Black hooker.
Yeah.
There's your All Black
so
hooker.
clear and above everyone else, isn't he?
The
And
energy,
Amor
the
had been
effort,
good.
the scrap, the fight. You know, Safa Amor was clearly the lead runner,
Yeah.
but to me, he's the guy. You know,
Yeah,
like, what he showed there, and he had everything in there. He got in a verbal with Angus Gardner, and I could just see how desperate he was to make a difference. And he did make a difference. It just wasn't enough on the night.
The thing I like is that his sabbatical was taking time off during Super Rugby. I think Ben Smith did that a few years ago. Was it Ben Smith that did that?
Yep.
He took, you know, and I just think that's fantastic that he's actually stayed here, you know, and he's back.
Well, he's a week later as well, didn't he? He picked up a calf injury, so it was perfect for him. And admittedly, when you look at that team and you see Tamaiti Williams, Cody Taylor come back, and prior to playing the Highlands, you're thinking, man, they're going to turn things up. And he did on an individual level. But yeah, they've got a bit to go before they make the top 8. Hey.
Yeah,
have a little red wine on that one, Nilsy.
There'll be a Crusaders jersey arriving for you very soon.
You're supposed to be the Crusaders man, but just to switch it back to the Highlanders, someone that does know his way to the gym these days, a big gym, and that's Timothy Tavatavanawai. He's been a big mover by heading down south, hasn't he?
I think there's a combination of players, and he's one of them. Impactful guys. Tanialu Talia was another one in terms of ability to carry the ball. But I think he's almost leading the competition, Timothy Tavatavanawai, in turnovers at the breakdown.
Yeah.
He's got an unbelievable body position. Is he benefiting from going to the Highlanders? I think what we're seeing is what he's really good at, but he's helping them in combination. And the one thing you need is guys with the ability to get you go forward. He's one of those guys, but Broughton's been really good at number 8 when he's been available. He's been banged up the odd week, and they've done all of this without Billy Harmon on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, so you bring him back in the mix. And confidence is an amazing thing. Momentum is an amazing thing. Yes, you know, we know the wins they had with the Force, Moana Pacifica and the Crusaders, and they're all players below them on the table, but you still have to get the job done. And look, I know they've got a lot of work they need to do, and they're not in the top tier right now, but what they've done is given themselves a chance, and I like the fight. That's what I love about them.
Is success the top 8 for the Highlanders this year?
Well, absolutely. That's the first port of call. That's the first thing you'll be judged on. Do you give yourself a chance in the playoffs? It's whether or not they can somehow, over the next few weeks, find a way to get themselves from 7th to 6th. But that really, at the moment, we're talking the Blues, the Hurricanes and the Chiefs. Ouch. And the Brumbies, however, have got a huge... Now, that's the other one, though. The Brumbies have got an easy run home. There's some sides that play each other. So all of a sudden, you know... it's
very interesting final...
Well, I mean, the Crusaders could play spoiler for the Blues.
Yeah, in week 1. Of the playoff.
Oh, but no, but even
next week,
you know,
at home,
you know, or the Brumbies, or they could play spoiler. So beating the Blues at home, all of a sudden the Blues drop down one. So a lot can change very quickly. So
it is a really good competition this year. When we're starting to talk about these things, nothing is guaranteed right now. There is still plenty more to come on the breakdown. Richie Mo'unga is the talk of the town yet again. So can New Zealand rugby bring him home from Japan early like they would love to? Who are the front runners for the All Blacks midfield? We talk about all of that next. But first, we head back to Eden Park, where a couple of former players were on hand.
Rugby culture is one of inclusivity, right? Where it doesn't matter if you're big, tall, skinny, larger. It's a game that's got a position for everyone. It's a game that's got an attribute for everyone's personalities. Fantastic game.
I think it's always a good and safe environment to bring our families to come and play the game, and also not only on the grass but off the grass too, with families and friends, being inclusive and looking after each other, and you know, being aspirational as well for one day be able to come and play on the big stage here at the Garden of Eden. So I think rugby's in really good hands at the moment, and may it long continue.
This team's come a long way. You know, we've worked hard all pre-season. We're an eclectic mix of people. We've got Samoans, Tongans, Māori, Scottish, Indian. We've got a whole bunch of people in our team. But our hard work that we've done all pre-season, the hard work we do out here between these 4 lines, I mean, it's special. It's a special team, but you know, we're only just getting started. We've still got a long way to go. We want to win this whole competition. And then to talk about our fans here, the culture of this town, you know, we're trying to build something special here. We're wearing this heritage jersey to represent what has gone before us, to represent the people that are sitting out in this crowd. It's a special place to be, and I'm proud to be an Auckland man playing for the Blues.
My favourite thing about my mum is that she's so loving and caring to everyone, our family, all my friends, all my brother's friends, our partners, and yeah, she's just the most loving, caring person that I know.
What does my mum mean to me? She means the world to me. I know that's pretty cliche. I think everyone says it, but I guess from the bottom of my heart, that's the truth. She means the world. She's everything to me. Closest woman to my heart, and I've known her my whole life. So, yeah.
Happy Mother's Day to you all. Love from the Hurricanes.
Yeah, special day, all about our mums today. I hope you all did something nice for your wives, mother of your children. No, none of them.
Yes.
They're all looking at me.
Nice, Mills. Yeah,
I cooked breakfast.
What did you make?
I had bagels, bacon, eggs, salmon, cream cheese.
Nice.
I even washed the dishes. I know my wife does it every day, but man, I can see, you know, I appreciate that.
I gave Dean the day off. She's at the netball in Palmerston North working on that. So she's got the day off. So she got sleep in.
She's working.
No, she went for a walk.
But you didn't do that.
We had breakfast. What's that?
You didn't do that.
No, I didn't. But it's worked out that way. And she'll come home and there'll be gifts for tomorrow. So she's getting back-to-back days.
You, JK?
We had a traditional Italian lunch, sort of in memory of my mother-in-law who passed. So yeah, we did a bollito, which is boiled meat, and then with the brodo, with the juice that's left, you put tortellini in, and then we made a special tomato sauce that my mother-in-law used to make. So
any leftovers?
Yeah, we know we're going to Mother's Day next year.
Exactly.
We're heading to the Kerwins household.
We could have had that in the green
lunch.
room. That would have been nice.
I would have brought you some, but we ate it all.
Righto, you wouldn't believe it, but the All Blacks' first squad of the year is being named in about 6 weeks' time, just after the Super Rugby finals. So we're starting to look at who will actually make this first squad of Scott Robertson's. And we're talking midfield today. Let's take a look at who the contenders are. 4 midfielders went to the Rugby World Cup in France last year. Do the same 4 get picked? And those 4, of course, we're talking about Rieko Ioane, Anton Leonard-Brown, David Havili, Jordie Barrett. I mean, who are those 4 in? Are they automatic selections?
Yes, I'm picking 5, actually, and I'll explain myself. So I'm going Ioane, Anton Leonard-Brown, Jordie, and Jordie because he covers fullback, because I'm only taking 3 fullbacks, because 2 of those can cover other positions. Proctor and Havili. And Havili is you'd normally take an outside back that might cover a few positions, but Havili covers 10, 12, 13 and fullback at a pinch. So I'm actually taking 5, but I must say, and I've already said this last week, that puts Love, Barrett and Barrett as our fullback cover, and McKenzie. We don't need fullbacks, I don't reckon. And we'll have the wing discussion at another time. Mel, so yeah, I'm taking 5.
So you're taking 5, and Billy Proctor is your big mover of 2024.
Yeah, I think he's just been really, really good. Just very, very good. He also covers 12, so he can sort of play that. It's between him and Tupai, I think, but Proctor's a little bit more in form at the moment, I believe.
I think Proctor's probably your out-and-out centre. Proctor, for me, I agree with what sort of JK's mentioning. I think he gets in there. I really have liked his form, not just this year, but sort of even the last couple of years. You know, the fact that he understands his role. I'm not too sure if he's moved into second 5 before, but I think him and Ioane would probably be in my mind, are probably our centres. The other guys can move around a little bit, you know, second 5 centre. The biggest thing for me that we haven't, once we get to looking at the wingers, is who covers wing, centre, and that's probably where, and I'm probably more looking like a, you know, Lester Whainganuku type of player to cover that sort of side. That's what we haven't got right now. But I think I definitely agree with that. It's Leonard-Brown,
You're taking
Barrett,
5 as well.
Ioane, Havili, and Proctor.
Rieko Ioane.
Covers wing.
Well,
You're saying he's coming. You're saying he's the Leicester.
He's the Lester Whainganuku for me. I mean, some really, really good players and really good form are going to miss out in the first squad of the year, unless they decide to extend it out a little bit, which they've been known to do in the past, and all of a sudden 32 becomes 34, 36 because they need to look at some guys. He's going to need to look at some guys because they haven't had the benefit of a number of camps that they've had in the past. I know they've had some leadership catch-ups, but they haven't had these in-season camps as much. So I look at it and go, maybe they extend it out. You talk a lot about specialists, but all of a sudden you've got a whole lot of players that play a whole lot of positions. So I'm a little bit confused by your, you know, David Havili covers here, and I've got 4 first 5. Yeah, but I'm just confused about the fact that do we not want to? I mean, if you've got David Havili in the squad, who we know his skill set, who's now being asked to play 10 for the Crusaders, and so you look at his skill set and you're going, well, how does that fit? Where does he fit at first 5s? Like 3? Is he a third of first 5, 4th first 5, 4th fullback, 5th, third? So I'm not sure it may be necessary, you know. So I think probably David's got a little bit of work to do in regards to if some other guys continue their really good form. When you've got a specialist like Timmy, like a Quinn Tupaia, when you look at someone who has been direct, who's carried well, who's done all the fundamental things that he did before he was an All Black, he's doing those things again.
Well, before his ACL injury, he was the starting midfielder for the All Blacks, remember?
Yeah, but Geordie Barrett
was playing fullback.
Geordie Barrett was playing fullback. The whole landscape changed the moment the All Blacks picked Geordie Barrett as
I think what I think about, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I probably do actually, because I think you need specialists. You need specialists in those positions. I like specialists. So if you go a specialist fullback, you go Love, right, and Barrett. Is he our specialist fullback now? Then after that you can go Geordie. Right? If you go centre, you go Rico, yeah, and then you go Anton Leonard-Brown at 12. They're specialists, but then after that you can go Havili as a 12-13 cover, right? So I sort of agree, but I disagree. I think you go, if you look at your top 25, you go, I'm taking specialists or someone like Geordie, but then after that you go, well, if I look at my bench, what am I going to do? You know, Damien McKenzie has always suffered from being, he's our fullback 10 cover, so he's on the bench. But now he's our 10, what are you going to do on the bench? Do you take Havili and then take an extra loose forward? Playing South Africa, do we go, OK, Havili can cover 10, 12, 13 and 15, so we'll take a halfback and him and 5, 6 forwards, whatever it is.
Well, that's going to come down to the split, right? And that's what you're talking about before. You know, they originally named 32, or they say they're going to name 32, but then they blow it out to 52, right? And given the injuries that some guys, well, yeah, exactly. And so, but I think it comes back to that. You've obviously got two guys that are going to be there, and in my mind, it's obviously Geordie Barrett and Ioane. They are the incumbents, but who fits in underneath that? And I think Proctor deserves that. I think he should be thereabouts. It should. You throw him in there with a Barrett, I think they would work really well together because he's a similar type of player. But they said it's who plays wing and that sort of that physical guy. Tupai McLeod, he might be able to shift around a little bit. So the makeup will all depend on how much you're going to get named.
Can I just throw this into the middle? The year after the World Cup, the NZR and the finance people get really tough on numbers. Bit different World Cup year, but normally after the World Cup, they get way more strict on you're having 35 players and that's it because they want to
pay for it.
Yeah, you've got to pay for it. So it's not like World Cup year, and I think
any business does that, don't they? After the World Cup, right tight on numbers, man.
Yeah, but I do think that'll go. We're not going to blow out to 38 players. I think it'll be whatever they say, and they'll have to, which will help my argument.
Everything helps your argument.
Thank you.
Well, where does Richie Mo'unga fit into this conversation? He's the man that has been talked about so much this season. We haven't really heard from him because he's been playing over in Japan. But the latest news from New Zealand Rugby, from the head of professional rugby, Chris Lendrum, is they want to bring him home early and get him out of his 3-year contract with Toshiba, which is worth, so we're hearing, multi-millions every year. How do we afford him? Does he want to come home? And if we're trying to bring him home early, why did we ever let him go?
Money's gone, mate. You've just spoken about getting tight on money. Where are they going to get? Where are they going to?
Well,
they're going to cut the NPC. He said that in the same conversation.
Yeah, we're cutting the number of teams.
Cutting the number of professional athletes. That's another discussion for another evening. Look, I think it'll depend on this year. I think it depends on two things. Richie, if he's enjoying Japan, the lifestyle's good, he's spending more time with his family, he might just go, I'm out. How old is he? 29, right? Who knows? I think the second thing is what happens this year. If we still need Richie Mo'unga by the end of the year, then you start going, we're going to go and pay for him.
Should we have ever let him go?
I think he wanted to go, didn't he? Was it all about us?
Well, he wanted to set his family up. That's something that he's been very clear on. He wanted to go to Japan, 1, to have an experience, but 2, to set his family up. Yeah. And he thought he could do that in Japan and not in New Zealand.
So he won't come home. What is it, a couple of $1 million a year? He might be spending time with his family. So if they get him out of the last year, I'd say it'd be a little bit like what we've been doing to keep hold of Bodie, right? So in the last year of his contract to get him back for World Cup, it might be a sabbatical, he comes back late, that sort of stuff.
Do you genuinely think we need him, Mills?
Well, he's a special player, first and foremost, right? And do you think he's going to make a difference if he was back in that Crusaders outfit? Do you think he'd make a difference back in the All Blacks? I think he's probably been brought up in terms of the conversation because how light we actually are. You know, Pedal Feta, in that case, it probably, you know, being injured probably hasn't helped because you would have wanted him to grow a little. Damien McKenzie, who backs up Damien McKenzie? And we know we've got Barrett and sort of coming back as well. Do we need him? I think there's an element that we do. Have we got the money to do it? And back to your point, you know, should we have let him go? Financially, could we have actually put something in front of them to perhaps, you know, tie him into staying maybe another year rather than, you know, the whole big plan of signing him for 3 years for the next Rugby World Cup? That might have been a little bit...
I actually don't disagree, Mills. I think if you're going to let him go now and try and get him back at the end, because at least he's gone. You try and keep him here, he's going to compromise. He's got 2 million over there. You keep him for $1 million, 1.2, right? Where he's going to go and get his couple of million, and then all of a sudden, at the end of 2 years, he might be going, oh, okay, I've done pretty well. I've had time with the family. I've still got the hunger, because that's what it needs to be. The hunger to win a World Cup in the All Black jersey to go down as a great.
There's always the danger when you break a ceiling, and when you start paying up there, because expectations for other players change as well, and then the demand and the pressure that comes on your ability to play those players. So you go through that ceiling, and that's where you would have had to go to keep Richie Mo'unga. You would have had to, you know, and
we
my understanding was that.
But
my understanding was, though, is the fact that maybe they didn't get the opportunity they would have liked New Zealand rugby to push it a little bit further, to push the boat out a little bit further to keep him. But to me, it's done. The decision's been made. It's up to him now.
Yeah.
If he wants to come home, he should come home. If he wants to carry on playing, we push on with what we've got, who are here, who are committed, who are all in for not just their Super Rugby franchises, they're all in for the All Blacks. And if you talk to those guys who were part of the campaign last year, who missed out on winning a Rugby World Cup by 1 point, they're highly motivated. Yeah. That group already.
You
so
think
for me,
Chris Leedrum coming out like that, because this is no one else. This is NZR saying, we would like to see him back. Do you see them saying there's movement in that ceiling and this is what we wanted to present him? Because no one else is saying Richie Mo'unga should come back. NZR are saying it, not us. So the fact that they've come out and saying that, they're obviously wanting to put something forth in front of them to hope that he comes back.
And if you're Scott Robertson, clearly you'd like to have him available to you, wouldn't you? You'd love to have him. And whether or not they're starting to just think long term, to your point, JK, going, you know what, maybe we can get him for a World Cup year. We get him to commit to coming back to New Zealand. Maybe that's the long term.
Well, this is a discussion for another night, right?
Yeah.
Another discussion for another night, but our leadership's in disarray. We don't know what's going on with the board, right? It's post-World Cup. Losing the World Cup would have cost us financially, for sure. There's been the Silver Lake deal, and now there needs to be a consolidation. That's probably why they couldn't afford to keep Mo'unga, because they can't afford to break that ceiling. Because like you say, you break that ceiling, all of a sudden your 8 best All Blacks are now going to that ceiling. So I think this is a period where there's a lot of change coming, but we should have settled by next year, have way more better financial results, and then hopefully we're starting to heading towards keeping our players because we've got a bigger ceiling.
There you go. Well, do not go anywhere. There is still plenty more to come on the breakdown, including Mills's moments for the week, and we talk about those red hot Black Ferns.
Take on the USA in Kirikiriroa.
And Amy Duplessis will score for New Zealand in the opening 2 minutes. And chip kick over the top for herself. The balance is perfect. And Nerirangi Ball gets a second try. For the corner, and it's Nerirangi Ball with a hat-trick inside 16 minutes. It's a great carry from Georgie Paris-Redding. Good work from Sotutu, who's been excellent for the United States this afternoon. This is the try for the United States. They've worked their socks off to get it. But it's their captain demand, and now Patricia Mully-Apple. New Zealand now putting on a show.
No, my Hawkie, my welcome back into the breakdown. The Black Ferns absolutely put on a show, and I tell you what, I love watching this team because they just play rugby, don't they? We saw it against the USA. They absolutely pumped them in the Pacific 4 opener, 57-5. But one woman who stood out, you mentioned her last year because the Dean told you about her. She was a former netballer, Merirangi Paul, who scores a hat-trick in 16 minutes, Jeff.
No substitute for speed in this game of rugby union, and she's got plenty of it. Great on her feet. Look, this was a dominant performance, though. So if you look at the way the tries were scored, there was so much space on the outsides. And look, she's special. Caitlin Vahakola was, how good was she? I mean, there was a lot of chip and chases going on, to be fair. So that tells you there was no cover in behind. I'm not sure where the USA players have come from and the competitions they've been playing in, but there was a huge gap between these two teams. This game was over after 20 minutes. It was great for the Black Ferns, but they've got a lot of really quality players to come in. Here's hoping that they keep getting tested as they go forward. I felt a bit sorry for Ruby because it was one of those days where you could have scored 10 tries, but you know, there was space for Fahakola and Paul. I thought they were both really good. What I actually enjoyed about it, and I know they've been working really hard on it, Mills, was actually the individual skills of the whole team. Yeah. They went off the ball a little bit in the second half, but the first half, passes out in front, on the run, I thought it was a really good display. I don't know how... I thought the USA were way worse than... Well, they got better. I was expected. The good thing for them was they got better, Mills, in the second half. The USA sort of adapted, and they might have got just caught on their heels as well. Just the fact you're not sure exactly what you can come up against, but you know, I think in terms of a start, obviously they're going to be really happy, the Black Ferns.
Oh, it's great. I mean, new coaching staff as well. I like the structure that they sort of up that was presented. You know, even though the momentum, they were always constantly going forward, almost like a simulation run, they still kept to that sort of structure. You know, in terms of where their pods were, where they sort of sweep back, and the skill execution was really high. I think this is really good because you know they know also what the bigger picture looks like. You know, Canada's their next opponent, and then probably a chance for a couple of other guys to sort of come through and sort of perhaps make a stake for a spot in the starting 15. But I think it brings really good balance, particularly after Aupiki. In terms of the structures that they have in place and also some stars they actually shine.
Yeah, really important tournaments for the Black Ferns because the bigger picture, not just England coming up later in the year, but of course the Rugby World Cup in England. Black Ferns will be wanting to defend their title in just over a year's time. They introduced some new players. Jamie Joseph's daughter, Maya Joseph, was on debut at halfback.
He couldn't go because his other daughter was graduating in Dunedin.
Yeah. They're too successful, those Josephs.
That's fantastic, but she played really, really well.
She did. She's got a great pass.
Great pass, but armchair ride. Like everything was going forward. I mean, it's great that they're doing that, but I think they'll know well and truly that they'll keep their feet on the ground. And in fact, there's a long way for them to get to where they need to get to going forward. Afternoon rugby is back on Sunday in Christchurch against Canada. So get out and support the Black Ferns if you are down in Christchurch on the weekend. Righto, it's time now for Mills's Moments, but you're taking a break this week. You have handed it over to me. I thought I'll come back and I'll take control of the show. So Mills's Moments this week is a dedication to the mums.
It's only fitting that you take over. Mummy.
Thanks, Mills. Well, this week, as we say, we want to recognise some sporting mums, and we know that there are hundreds and thousands of you special women out there, but we have chosen 5 of our absolute favourites. We're going to start off with some rugby mums. Our very own Hani Heremi Smiler. This woman, she's incredible. She was just here at Sky with us. Of course, she's part of our team. She's been part of many other teams in black before. She became a mum 19 years ago to her son. She now has a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. She was back playing rugby league 10 days after giving birth, JK.
Yeah,
this woman
incredible.
is amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, obviously I've never given birth, but I've seen my wife and stuff. So yeah, would you go back and play, Kirsty, after?
Oh, I could barely walk. Coming back onto the breakdown 30 days later was hard enough.
She still gets her arm twisted, I think, to play a club game every so often, right? Yeah. She can't help herself. She loves it.
She's amazing. So happy Mother's Day to you, honey. Next up, someone else who comes in a part of our team as well. She's been part of the Black Ferns setup and the Chiefs Manawa, of course, Chelsea Sempu, who had her daughter Cami last year, never missed a beat. And that's something something that Honey mentioned to me, that motherhood actually makes you stronger. It makes you come back. You're stronger mentally, and you've got to work harder to get back to where you were physically. So you're actually a better player afterwards.
Harder, that's what I mean. I mean, 10 days, I mean, Honey, I mean, and even Chelsea going back, I mean, but also, you know, you've still got a little baby that you're, you know, looking after as well. I mean, this is what makes it so special for them to go back and do what they do.
And to be fair, after working with us for a while, she was desperate to get back to playing rugby, spending time with us. She did a fantastic job when she was working for us, but the journey she's gone back to get to where she is, and when you see it online and you see it through her social network of the way that the team she's a part of have embraced her, you know, and it's fantastic. It's great.
Happy Mother's Day to you, Charles. First Mother's Day for you. Hope you've been sport rotten today. This next woman, I absolutely love this woman, Niall Williams-Guthrie. She's got 2 little girls, her absolute inspiration. She writes their names on her wrist, and they have been a part of this journey. She's had to sacrifice so much being away from them all over the world with the 7 series, but it's all worth it when she gets moments like these.
Great athlete, and every time she's out on the field, she makes a difference.
Yeah.
You know, fights her way back and sees a goal, and it's like she goes and chases it, and everyone else just has to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive.
So through adversity as well, through injury and
Yep.
big moments.
Yeah.
And, you know, keeps coming back.
Yeah, she is amazing, Niall Williams-Guthrie. Next up, it's an Olympic year, and it's not too far away as well, the Tokyo Olympics. So this is a shout out to a couple of our Olympic rowers, Lucy Spores and Brooke Francis, who was Brooke Donoghue. These 2 women, they won a silver medal at Tokyo. Paris coming up, of course. It is in France, but they're chasing gold in the double sculls, and they've got 2 little kids that will be in tow with them. They get taken around to all the rowing regattas around the world. You've been to your fair share of rowing regattas, JK, so you know what it's like. Well, they've got 1-year-olds that they take along with them.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the beauty of bringing family. It was great to see Mills yesterday there, you know, with your family. And I think when you see family, you realise just how important it is to be inclusive, especially for elite athletes. If they can carry on, then, you know, we've got to make room for the families to come along, and I think it makes it a bit more special. Makes it special for the other athletes as well.
Your grandson will be getting dragged down to the beach volleyball court, no doubt.
He will be, yeah, he will be.
No
And
choice.
hopefully a bit of rugby, because I don't have anyone in the family that plays rugby. So hopefully John Jr. might.
There you go. And last but not least, this incredible woman who's had so much success on the international stage, but arguably her greatest achievement, her 2 babies, Dame Valerie Adams. I mean, what can you say about this woman?
There's not much you can say.
No,
to be honest.
you can't. You just have to sit back and appreciate it.
She's done everything she could possibly do, represented her country so well. And like I say, once again, the ability to put a goal in front of herself, to find a way to get back and do it with, like I say, with the young kids, amazing.
Yeah, that is Millsy's moments this week.
At some point, are you going to take your moments back over? We've done more moments than you've done.
It's actually quite humbling when you see what they've gone through. This moment. You know, Chris, thanks for that. Thanks for taking over. But I think, you know, it's hard enough for us guys. I mean, we have to try and remember our boots to go to the rugby games. I mean, they've got to remember their children. And some of my kids at the moment, far out. I mean, how do you put up with some of the attitude as well, especially when they go over there? But man, you appreciate everything they've done. I mean, not only represent our country, but also the other, you know, wahine that are out there as well, not just in New Zealand, but globally too, because, man, you are special.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Mills, well said. Righto, we move on to this weekend. A couple more rounds left of the regular season of Super Rugby and some big games still to come. Firstly, he's talking about the Highlanders, but what about his other team? The Crusaders are taking on the Brumbies in Canberra. Tell us all, what is the likelihood that they win in Canberra this weekend? You
Low.
go first.
Low.
No, he's saying low.
Low
The
likelihood.
Brumbies, I mean, if the Blues were going over, you know, the Hurricanes got pumped over there. It is traditionally one of the hardest places to go and win. The Brumbies are the best Australian side, right? And they're playing at home. It's a very, very hard place to win. And the Crusaders are not playing well enough to win over there. Full stop.
Likelihood?
I think they can win.
Oh.
I think they can win. If Scott
What do
Barrett's
you actually
if Scott Barrett
seeing?
comes back, what am I seeing is the fact that the conditions actually down in Dunedin didn't suit them. Is the fact that there was only the first scrum was in the 30th minute of the game, and that's been something they've been able to rely on in the past. And when you've brought back Cody Taylor and Tamaiti Williams, it would have been nice to have an earlier scrum, maybe to put some pressure on the Highlanders. You know, just to remind Ethan de Groot of what they're capable of. But I think they can go there if some of their cattle come back, and one in particular, Scott Barrett, if he's fit, and Ethan Blackadder, that's a significant different forward pack. You
must think they can win, Mills, because you think they can still make the top 8. But what about the Blues and Highlanders, the derby on the weekend?
Oh, gee.
Come on, give it to them.
Well, you wanted to wear a Blues jersey.
I was going to wear a Blues jersey.
They didn't have one to fit those arms of yours.
I wanted to wear both.
Do they rest players against the Highlanders, or do they keep going full steam?
Sorry?
I'm not.
I think they have to rest a couple, don't they? Is there a couple they have to rest?
Who?
I don't know. Someone said before they have to rest a couple.
Maybe the
All Black
rest them. Well, there's a chance, but I wouldn't take the Highlanders lightly now.
Oh, look at him. Hey,
not now.
3 weeks in, he's always pumped now. Hey, look at him.
It's called a streak, boys.
Like the guy who streaked down there.
Actually, yeah. We don't need to see that guy. No, he's all good. Come on, boys. One more, Landers.
No wager? There you
always
go.
Always a bottle of wine on it, always.
There you go, it's done. Thank you for joining us. Happy Mother's Day. See you next Sunday.
There's 3 Highlanders in the race. It's a loose ball. Funaki. Punching through with Cole Ford. Then he's got it away to Liam. They're in again. The Blues go back to back. What a pass that was. And the Highlanders